Assalamu alaikum. We are pleased today that we have a very good friend of the Muslim community, someone who always stood by his principles and stood by the Muslim community. Today we have here with us the Right Honorable Simon Hughes, the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Member of Parliament. Please give him a big round of applause, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Excel Centre. Are you having a good day? Sisters, are you having a good day? Brothers, are you having a good day? Thank you for being here. It is my pleasure and my privilege to be here not just as myself, but to be here as a Member of Parliament and now for the first time at your conference as the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats throughout the United Kingdom. I have been to each of the Global Peace and Unity events. I have been privileged to come and speak at these events before, and it clearly hasn't done my career any harm, because my majority has increased and I have become the party's Deputy Leader. So I'm grateful for your support and friendship, and I want to offer you the same. I want firstly to bring you greetings from the Deputy Prime Minister, Nick Clegg, and all of my colleagues who are Liberal Democrats throughout Britain. They send their salam to you, they send their greetings to you, and they wish you well, in God's name. I secondly want to make it very clear that we were privileged to accept this invitation, and later today you'll hear from a colleague of mine who is the first ever Liberal Democrat to be the Communities Minister in this country. And that's very important to us, because we have Liberal Democrats across government, but we have Liberal Democrats in two particular departments of state. In the Department of Communities and Local Government, and you will hear from Andrew Stunnell later, and the Minister for Equalities is a Liberal Democrat as well, also from an ethnic minority faith background. And so I hope you feel that in us, in our party and our representatives, your interests will be in good hands. I'm aware that some people say this conference, this event is controversial. I have a message to you and to my colleagues in Parliament. I always believe that it is better for people of every background to engage with the Muslim community, not to walk away from the Muslim community. I always believe that we do better by dialogue rather than by silence. I always believe that we have to learn how to understand and respect Islam, and you have to understand how to love and respect people who are not followers of Islam. And I speak as a Christian. For those of us who are from a Christian heritage or a Jewish heritage or a Muslim heritage, if we cannot show the world how to follow God, how to follow Allah and live in love with our sisters and brothers, how can we expect other people who are not people of the same Abrahamic faiths to behave in that civilized way? We have a responsibility to lead, and I hope we will lead strongly and without ambiguity. And I hope in future years all of the political parties will be here at this event, celebrating with you, listening to you, and having dialogue with you too. I'll let you into a secret. I think there's another way that I might improve my communication and my popularity. And listening to the people reciting from the Quran, I think that next year I'm going to try very hard so that I come back and I make the beginning of my speech in Arabic. And then you can tell me whether I'm doing a good job. I want to say a few very specific and serious things. I just want to spend another 5 minutes, just so you know you're not going to get an overlong political speech. My party has not been in government until this year since 1945. We have been waiting for a very long time. I know how long it feels to wait outside power. It teaches me one lesson in solidarity with Muslims around the world. For the same length of time, the people of Palestine have been waiting to have an independent state of Palestine. And it's the duty of everybody in this country, Muslim and non-Muslim, to make sure that this decade, not next decade, not another decade, there is not just peace in the Middle East, but justice in the Middle East. And that means justice for the people of Palestine, who are our sisters and brothers and deserve to have a country recognised in the United Nations and in the world. And I pledge you that we will do all we can to achieve that. There is no more important national issue in the world than achieving justice and peace in Palestine. There are some very good things that this government has already announced, whatever your politics. We will end 28-day detention without trial. We will end it. Introduced by the last government, it will go. We have already abolished identity cards. We have already arranged an inquiry into illegal detention and extrajudicial rendition. That's already started. We have already made clear that we will defend the rights of asylum seekers to come here and seek asylum if they are threatened with death in their own country or persecution in their own country. We have made sure we will defend the right of protest, which had been curtailed by the last government. And that's very important for people in all faith communities. And above all, sisters and brothers, we will defend the freedom of expression of people of all faiths. We must be allowed to say what we believe as well as believe what we say. And we have had liberties too much restricted in this country, and that we will reverse. There's one very important thing we've promised to do in addition. I hope by the end of this year there will be an end to the practice we inherited that children of people who are asylum seekers can be held in detention. That must end. We have promised it will end. We must not lock up children who have done nothing wrong. It's not acceptable, and we will not let it carry on. A couple of other related things. Unusually and controversially, this government has committed itself to increase the budget on overseas development so that we will be one of the first countries in the world to honour the pledge to have 0.7% of our budget spent on the rest of the developing world. It's no good just responding when there is a flood in Pakistan, though we must respond when there's a flood in Pakistan. Our job is to support the developing world all the time. If you want peace, you prevent conflict, you don't just react to conflict. And we are pledged to that increase in our budget, even in a time of cuts and difficulty. And we're going to reduce the number of people in prison for short sentences. And sometimes the people disproportionately in prison are those from the black and minority ethnic communities. One word about cuts. The cuts will be difficult. Nobody can pretend we're not going to have a difficult time. But let's not fall out into blaming each other. Let us stand in solidarity. And the Muslim community has a big duty to do to make sure you support the community in a time of difficulty. If we get it right, then again we can have good and economically prosperous times. But we have to look after each other, defend the poor and the vulnerable, and we will try always to do that. I said that we have two key ministers in government looking after equalities and communities. I just want to say three last things. In this audience here, there will be people, particularly women and particularly young people, who I hope will think that you may have a future in elected politics. Not just as business leaders or trade unionists or teachers or academics or scientists or engineers or business people. But we want you in the political family as well. And to anybody in this room who is interested in politics, can I say this? Our party, our councils, our London Assembly, our parliaments in Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland and the government of the United Kingdom need more Muslims to seek to be in elected office. And I encourage you, women in particular, young people in particular, Come and engage. There is no reason on earth why we cannot have more people, Muslims, in the cabinet, and there's no reason on earth why there cannot in this century be a Muslim Prime Minister of this country. You must make that happen by coming forward and doing that job. Not just to represent Muslims, but to represent everybody, because you are fully part of our community just as everybody else is. And let me just say one last thing. Sometimes people generalize, and they're critical of the Muslim community in this country. This country has become richer and better and more talented and more diverse and more internationalist because of the Muslim community here. And I want us to send that message together. This is not a country of different communities. This is a country where people of different faiths and no faith walk together, seeking to do what we believe to be right. And with the contribution of the Muslim community in Britain, Britain can become, for this century, as it has been in the past, a great country in the world. Sisters and brothers, inshallah, with your help, we can have the future that you wish for yourselves, your children and your grandchildren. Our job with you is to work together. Let us have a vision of hope and prosperity. Follow the Prophet, give praise to Allah, and walk truly before your God and holding the hands of your sisters and brothers. Thank you very much. God go with you. And please, please engage, for the future of Britain is in your hands. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a great pleasure to be here this evening to host this wonderful event. I'm Adam Dean.
My name's Miriam Fossajara. Thanks for having us.
So we have still a great lineup this evening. We have Sheikh Zayed Rega, very knowledgeable brother. We have Omar Reagan, talented comedian. And also, has anyone heard of Zayn Beaker?
We thought so.
So that's a yes then. Great, excellent.